On the count of three, I'm going to ask everybody to say out loud, "Where's Robert?" That's all I want you to say. On the count of three. God, I love these aggressive agents, okay? On the count of three, everybody's going to say out loud, "Where's Robert?" 1, 2, 3. Where's Robert? How in the world did I have Robert Villanova on the stage and I forgot to introduce him? Where's Robert? Now, I've said to you 100 times, you have to start speaking up, you have to start. You sat there for 35 minutes and never said a word, and I made a fool of myself, and you're fired. I'm just kidding, okay? So we'll bring you back, okay? We'll bring you back, Robert, okay? Next year. Just kidding. Okay, are you guys ready? Yes. We're on point number 5. And this is to start with be honest. Because if the truth is we all want to move to another level of listing property, part of that process is being honest in about 50 different areas of our lives. Okay, we have to be honest about our attitude, approach, expectations, our appearance, our image. I mean, you know, it's a hard thing to be honest, okay? I remember many, many years ago, I saw this wonderful stat. I don't know, you know, they said that 93.7% of all stats are made up. and I'm sure this is one of them. They said that the majority of all people in the U.S., male and female, look in a mirror and the men see an extraordinarily handsome man and women see an unbelievably gorgeous woman. Okay, here's my thought. Buy a new mirror. Because there's something wrong with the one you're looking into. As I told somebody earlier, I have a face for radio, okay, and I'm very clear on that, okay? The hardest part of listing property is being honest. Everybody say with what? With what? Everything. So here's the be honest, point number 5, okay? On a scale from 1 to 10, now let's write it this way, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being pathetic, 10 being phenomenal, okay? 1 being pathetic, 10 being phenomenal. How good is your listing presentation? Be honest. How good is your listing presentation? And I mean, be honest about that. No more of, well, I think I'm pretty good. Now, the answer to that, of course, is outside of your database, outside of the come list me's that people experience. Outside of those two experiences, are you getting the quality listings that you want in terms of price, terms, commission, and percentage of contract signed? And as we add different extensions to that definition, we have to be more honest because our closing ratio starts to drop. So since that one is way too involved for most of us, let's go to step 6. Are you using, and a lot of you are, a lot of you aren't, so I'm okay with that, the 5-step MFO listing process? Are you using the 5-step MFO listing process? It's a hard process to learn. So just for review's sake, because even some of our best clients do skip steps, write A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E. Step A, pre-qualify 100%, no exceptions. Pre-qualify 100%, no exceptions. The doctor, the pilot, the attorney, they never skip the 1 step in the process, which is finding out and discovering the motivation of the person they're going to talk to. You can't skip that step and expect to have a high closing percentage. So next to the pre-qualifying process, write down, what is my hang-up? Because it's the most vital step in the Mike Ferry sales listing process. making sure that person is fully motivated, qualified, and able to sign a contract. Step B is mail or deliver a non-ego pre-listing package. Non-ego. And that's hard because a lot of you have very strong egos, and a lot of you have earned those strong egos through your productivity. But when I say non-ego, I'm referring to 23 pictures of yourself. You know, you and your cat, you and your dog, you in front of a seller, you in front of a sold sign, you know, you accepting an award for taking a listing once, you know, those kind of things that people take, you know. And it's amazing how egotistical and how easy it is to become egotistical in your pre-listing package. If you want to improve the quality of your listing presentation, simplify and keep your pre-listing package at its simplest terms. For example, you should have a completed CMA with the actual list price. Now, when I say that, some of you go, oh my gosh, they could get mad when they see my price. No, 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 no. Take the words could get mad. They get mad because you've told them all right? A net sheet that shows them their actual net with your commission. Okay, these are parts of the pre-listing package. Okay, any disclosure statements that are required should be in the pre-listing package with a yellow stickum, please review and sign before I get to the house. Because if they review and sign all those before you get to the house, they've listed the property with you. Step C, okay, call back and see if they've reviewed the package. Not complicated. Hi, Mrs. Smith, did you get the package I sent out? And you get this tonality. Yes, we did. And do you have any questions about it? We're very concerned. We're not even sure if we want you to come out. Gosh, thank you for that feedback. May I ask why? Because of the price you put in the package. We're thinking $7.95 and you wrote $6.95. We're not even sure we want to talk to you. Thank you for bringing that up. When I walk in the door, why don't we discuss price first and get that settled? All right, now I know my objection. Yes or no? Yes. We don't like your commission. What's the problem? Well, you wrote 6% down. We can go higher. We start at 6. We go up based upon how much you complain. See, by calling back to confirm, you draw out their final objections. Step 4 is the critical one. Show up 15 minutes early. Because you're not going to be walking up to the door 15 minutes early, because 95% of all agents are 5 to 20 minutes late for their listing. And it's just called normal because there's traffic and you were late getting your paperwork together and then you got a phone call and you got delayed and oh my God, there was an accident and you know, you had to give the kids a kiss goodbye, I'll be home late. And I mean, all the stuff we go through, right? Say yes. All right. Now, somebody said to me one day, what's the best way to never be late? Be early. If you're at the house 15 minutes in advance, you're sitting in the car. For the men, you check your tie, make sure your hair is combed. Ladies, check your makeup, make sure everything's on straight. Take out your pre-listing package, review everything you've sent out so that you're very cognizant of what has to be said. Take your listing script, read through it. I have 3 questions I have to ask. Read through it a couple times. Then when you get up to the front door, 5 minutes early, you're calm, you're relaxed, they're stressed, your calmness and relaxes brings them down to your level. Then step number 5, read, R-E-A-D, read, R-E-A-D, the script to them. Read. Some of you go, read? You mean Debbie Reed? No, I mean read the script to them. Well, Mike, you can't just walk into a house and read the script to them. Hey, in my hand, I magically have the scripts of everything I'm saying to you today. Everything I'm saying is right in the scripts and all the little notes on the side of what I have to say. Generally speaking, do you individually, don't get mad, make more money than me? Yes or no? No. Want to make more money? Yes. Learn to read. All I do is read. I'm a high-paid reader. Well, Mike, you can't walk into a house and say to the seller, I've written down some important questions. Can I read them to you? Okay, you guys ready? Say yes. Yes. Repeat after me. Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I've written down some important questions. Can I read them to you? They're going to say, fine. And how many can read? Number one, do you still have to sell your home? Say it. Or do you want to price it to sell, leave it on the market a long time? Would you like me to handle the listing for you? So now you've proven you can read, memorize, and repeat, all in a matter of minutes. You guys are going to be great. That's the 5-step process. The only challenges, really interaction-wise, are 1 and 5. Step 1, pre-qualifying interaction. Step 5, presentation interaction. Step number 7, I wrote it this way. To move up to the next level, you have to, at some point, address your listing hang-ups. What are your hang-ups on listing property? You got to address those. Okay, you're at the psychiatrist's office, you're on the couch, and it's $120 for the hour. Psychiatrist has their little pad out, they got the recorder on. Tell me your hang-ups. Well, I went to the stupid Mike Ferry seminar and he said I had to pre-qualify. I hate that. Hate pre-qualifying. Did your mother tell you not to pre-qualify? Because that's what a psychiatrist always says. They always blame mom, okay? Now watch. What are the hang-ups? Do you have any hang-ups at all? Can you identify them? All right, now watch, folks. How many want to make a lot more money? Okay, all right, good. Now the expressives are really excited over here, okay? Can you make substantially more money if you have constant roadblocks in front of you? Come on, say it. Watch, I had to get through the fear of standing in front of a group of people and speaking. And my friend Bob Neville, who some of you have met, he's 84, 85 now, and still very active in the title insurance industry. Bob Neville would have me 5 days a week, and this was at age 20, 21, 22, stand in front of 30 to 40 realtors behind a podium, and it wasn't a podium you could see through, and he would have me do a 20-minute discussion on the benefits of a title plant to a real estate agent. Now let me share something with you. Watching grass grow is more exciting. The benefits of a title plant. But what you couldn't see is he forced me to do it, and my knees were shaking so bad that he used to tell me, I can hear your knees clicking together. I had to overcome my fear of talking to a group to do the job I wanted. Period. What are your hang-ups? Well, geez, if we could ever get any less excited about one of the steps, that would be it. All right, so let's go then to step 8. Are we on step 8? Yes. All right. I want you to write down the 3 to 5 most common questions a seller asks are. The 3 to 5 most common questions a seller asks are, what are they? All right, so now we know the obvious. Okay, how much is my house worth? How long will it take to sell? And can you get it sold for me? And how are you going to make that happen? But they ask everybody here a little different questions, and you get the same questions a lot because what you're saying causes the questions. So if you're getting 3 to 5 common questions that you can't respond to, it's because you're saying things that are causing them to question what you are able to do. You identify the 3 to 5 most common questions, learn to respond, and your productivity goes up. Make sense, yes or no? Yes. All right, number 9. Is there any fear or anxiety when they ask you these questions? Simple thought to write down. Do you experience any fear or anxiety when they ask you these questions? I've shared this and haven't talked about it in a long time. Used to be a little gym in Costa Mesa, California that I used to go and work out in the morning. Obviously, I haven't done that in a long time, you can tell. But I used to go to this gym every day, and there was a young guy that came in, big, buff, strong, muscular guy, brand new in real estate, so excited. Oh my God, I'm working out with Mike Ferry. You know, that and $4 get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks means nothing to me. So we're chatting. And I said, what's your biggest problem? He said, my biggest problem is, now this, remember, this is in the 80s. He said, I get a listing, I make a sale, I call the other agent. We go out together and present the offer to the seller. Now, granted, that is long past, but that's how we did it for, 30 years in real estate. I said, okay, what's your challenge with that? Well, if I don't know the other agent and, I don't understand him or her and I'm uncomfortable, I said, well, just ask more questions and you'll engage them with your seller to accept the offer. About a week later, I'm in the gym early in the morning, Kathy, and I come in the gym, and he's standing in the corner. Now, this kid was about 5'9", 195, solid rock muscle. This guy had no body fat. I mean, this guy could pick you up and throw you, okay? Black eye, nose broken, lip out to here. Looks like he lived in Beverly Hills. See, some of these are for me, okay? One tooth gone. I walk over, I said, oh my gosh, what happened? He said, well, last night I was presenting an offer. Oh my God. He said, I sat down with the seller with my offer on his listing, and I sat down with the seller, and I'm going through the benefits of my offer, and the guy reached over and grabbed the offer and said, we're not taking that. And he said, you always talk about keep the emotion between the lines. Well, Mitzi, I got a little frustrated, and I said, give me that offer back. The guy said, no way, this offer sucks. You're not going to get this through to my seller. Seller's just sitting there watching this. He said, Mike, I lost control. I stood up, and I punched the guy right in the mouth. Well, now, there's an interesting way to build rapport. Pow! And I said, what happened? He goes, my God, the seller stood up and beat the hell out of me. He lost his license for life, by the way, okay? Now, think about this. Do you ever experience maybe a little faster heart rate when you're on a listing presentation? Come on, say yes. Which means you have a little anxiety, right? Come on, say yes. And a little fear, right? Say yes. Want to learn to overcome it? Do what Josh said. Master those skills and those scripts to the point that nothing throws you off track. Okay, so I wrote this down. If your heart rate goes up when the questions are asked, it means you generally don't know what you're talking about. So this is a solvable problem. And then point number 10, then we're going to have some fun with our next group, excluding Robert Villanova, of course. Point number 10, what are the 3 or 4 most common objections a seller gives you? 3 or 4 most common objections a seller gives you. And then, of course, obviously, do you have an answer? Do you have an answer? So you can see the first 10 steps in our plan, and I think we have 35 steps to cover, are really designed more than anything else just to get us moving in the right direction. Yes or no? Yes. Okay? So I think you need to think about, okay, as Bill Mitchell, a longtime friend who passed away a couple weeks ago, some of you remember Bill, I think he passed away a month ago. He lived to be 85. He had a great life. He used to say all the time, you're okay where you are. We just don't want you to stay there. See, 80% of you are okay, Tom, where you are. We just want to get you off of that. Who wants to go to a higher level of listings? Okay, can you stay exactly with what you know to get that to happen, yes or no? Watch, let us help you. It's up to you, okay? So now we have 6 great people, and I'm going to try to actually have all of them participate. Pretty good, huh? Okay. It was so cute because, Josh, I was trying to do a special introduction for you, and whoever was next to you said, you forgot to introduce Josh. I said, no, I remembered. I just forgot to introduce Robert, okay? Okay, I'm going to invite to the stage first, Mr. Lee Marcus. Lee, where are you? Okay? Mr. Lee Marcus. In fact, you know what? Let's applaud when they all come out. Mr. Lee Marcus from Chicago,
Hey.
Illinois.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought your family, okay? I'm going to do something a little different. 9 years with Mike Fair Organization, 1,100 transactions. I guess you can applaud that one right off the bat, okay? Okay. Second, I'd like to bring out Miss Vicki Blair Martin from the wonderful monstrous city, Elko, Nevada. Okay? Miss Vicki, how are you, sweetie? Nice to see you. Where's the young man from Elko, Nevada that I met at the break? Come on, one of you.
There he is. See him in the back.
When we're done today, come up and meet Vicki. There's only 2 people left in Elko, you and her.
That's it.
Okay? So I want you to meet that young man.
Okay.
Okay? Good. Third, Aunt Vicki has done in 17 years with us. Wow.
17.
Almost 1,200 transactions. Isn't that great? That's outstanding. Okay? Third, from a little tiny town in Minnesota, one of my longest running clients, Mr. Chris Hauk. Chris, if you would please, come on out. Nice to see you, Chris. Wow. This business has been hard on Chris. Everybody say why? When we met, he was 6'2". Okay. 32 years we've been working together, over 3,000 transactions. Okay.
Yay.
Tracy, these numbers are extraordinary, okay? Mr. Mike Darda, one of my favorite people in my life, Mr. Mike Darda. Michael, thank you for coming, okay? Thank you. Mike is from down in the Cape Coral area. Mike and I have been working together for 20 years, 3,200 transactions. Can I tell him what you said behind the screen? Mike said, where did the money go? I said, the great life you've been living, which is pretty darn good. Fifth, excuse me, 19 years with us, 3,900 transactions, but in her 40 years, over 17,000 real estate sales. Miss Lucy Ham. Lucy, if you would, please. Okay? Thank you. What a treat. 17. She said, I have to correct you behind. I said, what's up? She goes, I haven't done 3,900. I said, what have you done? She goes, 17,000 in my career. I don't know if there's anybody in the world that's ever done that many transactions in their life. There's companies that have never done 17,000. Okay? And from the great state of Colorado, 23 years with us, 5,000 plus transaction. Somebody that really needs no introduction because she's so amiable and non-expressive, Karen Bernardi. Okay? Come on out, Karen. Okay? Miss Amiable. Okay, Lee, we're going to start with Lee.
Okay.
Lee, tell us who you work for, first of all.
So I work for a brokerage in Chicago called At Properties.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to come down here. The way the microphone is set up, I cannot hear one word they say when they talk, and I want to hear what they're saying. So I'm going to come down here with you guys where I can hear what they're saying. Say it again.
So I work for a brokerage called At Properties.
Okay.
In Chicago. Yeah.
And is that an old company, a new company, big company, small company?
About 18 years old, 2,200 agents, and
Okay.
21 offices there.
So it's a big firm.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. You are separate from the firm, meaning you have your own private office,
right, yeah.
your own building, etc.
Yeah, we have a satellite office.
Why did you do that?
So I made a commitment recently to spend more time with my family, to be home a lot more, and so I bought a commercial office space around the corner from my house, and I set up shop there, and so it's a block to my house, and it's 2 blocks to the kids' school, and now everything is within a few block radius.
Isn't that great? That was really neat. Lee called me a couple years ago and said, I'm thinking about moving physically out of the office, staying with the company. And I said, why? And he explained that to me, and I had to applaud that, because I just think that's such a great answer for us. Okay, you've been with us for 9 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the business?
11 years.
Okay, so you started with us pretty soon after you started
Yeah,
in the business.
yeah.
What's your average sales price?
It's about 600,000,
And what's your average commission check?
about 13,000.
13,000. So what have you earned in the 9 years you've been working with us?
About $11 million.
I'm sorry?
11 million?
11 million. Good for you. Okay, that's a lot of money. So
Thanks to you.
You're sitting with Neil and I, and you're going to help us become more productive.
Okay.
Yeah, thank God we need it. Okay. What are the one or two thoughts you want to share with this great group of people that they? Now he said to me, "Do you mind if I use notes?" I said, "Of course." So refer to your notes.
All right. So I think people always want to take the easy route, but if you'll do the difficult thing, you'll always have an easy life. And the difficult thing pays the most.
Okay, say it again.
People always want to take the easy route, but if you'll do the difficult thing, you'll always have an easy life.
Now think about the brilliance on what he said. People always want to take the easiest route, and if you do the most difficult things, you'll always have the easiest route.
Yeah.
So what is the most difficult thing you have to do to keep the business? Because you're doing well over 100, you're going to do 150 transactions this year.
210 this year.
How many?
210?
210, okay, and you have a giant team of showing agents of one.
One buyer's agent.
Yeah, one buyer's agent. So this is all his business that he does. What's the most difficult thing you do?
So, the difficult thing is calling expireds when there's 30 other competing agents. That's the difficult thing, but that's why it pays the most. Getting your database in order so that you can call them quarterly and stay in touch with them. That's the difficult thing, but that's what pays the most.
Good sense. I've never seen you as being, and don't take this wrong, I've never seen you, Lee, as being a natural-born salesperson. You, to me, look like a very learned, which is a compliment,
Yeah, okay.
very structured young man. Am I close to my observation?
Yes, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the, when getting on the phones originally, there's a lot of fear, it's a lot of rejection. I mean, I feel like that's what's so hard about it. So facing all the rejection, but that's the hard thing. And so I've just, over time, by watching you and everybody here, just learned to look for that difficult thing and then step into it and do it. And that's what.
So I would consider that, what he's saying, an act of bravery as a salesperson. Would you guys and gals agree with that? He looked for the difficult thing and steps right into it. Good for you. That's wonderful. Second thought for this wonderful audience.
So it must have been like 5 or 6 years ago. I called you on, first time I ever called you on a cell phone, and you answered like you said to do. And all of a sudden Mike Ferry's on the other line. And I said, "All right, Mike, what do I do now? Like what should I do on a daily basis? Like I know we're supposed to do all these different things, but I just need more guidance." And you said, "Spend 50% of your time on right now business and 50% of your time on future business."
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
And so then expireds and FSBOs, and then past client center of influence, future, whatever it is, just sold. And I think that has helped, really form a foundation of business.
Good for you. How many listings will you take this year?
220.
212.
20.
Guys and gals, is that a lot of listings? What's your thank you, that's fair. What's your closing percentage on listings?
What's up?
Closing percentage?
90%.
90%.
Yeah.
And which is outstanding, okay? And of the listings you take, are 50% past client center of influence?
Yeah,
and
50,
50%
and I think I think the easiest way to do 100 deals is just do 50, do 50 past client center of influence. You just have to go find 50 more. If you want to do 200 deals, the quickest way is do 100 past clients.
How big can your business get in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, I'm trying to focus on the week.
Okay, now you've backed off. You
Yes.
were on track 2 years ago to do 300 transactions.
Yeah, so we had, last year was my biggest year, and it was just growth for the past, 10 years, and so
Yep.
took a step back and started to.
Why'd you step back?
I realized I wasn't spending as much time with my family as I really needed to be doing,
Okay.
and that was. But what's funny is then when you take a little more time, you end up doing more business. So it's very hard to actually go down in business.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Good. Lee, thank you.
Yeah.
Where's Mr. Chris, you're probably, next to my friend Neil Schwartz and a couple other people, you're one of my longest term clients, okay? Chris, tell them what city you live in.
I live in St. Cloud, Minnesota. We were about an hour northwest of Minneapolis.
How far?
About an hour northwest of Minneapolis.
So you're an hour northwest of Minneapolis,
Yep.
and you have wonderful, calm winters every year.
It's gorgeous, just
It's
like
gorgeous.
Miami.
You know, 30 foot of snow per day is just normal. Okay, that's a rough area for the whole behavior pattern of weather. Okay, what percentage of your business comes in the spring, summer, and fall versus the winter?
You know, it's interesting, Mike. Our spring market starts January 2nd, and we'll do 65 to 68% of the year's business by June 1st.
So between January and June, you do 65 to 68% of your business.
Yeah, we'll April, end of March, April and May are typically our busiest months of the year,
Okay.
by far.
I have to ask, how have you lasted with me for 32 years?
You know,
that's
it's
a
just,
long time.
I know, it's great ideas. I wouldn't have the lifestyle that I have today had we not met.
That picture of your beautiful new boat is spectacular, by the way.
Yeah,
He sent me a picture of his beautiful new boat. I mean, it's really hot. Good for you.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, and the other thing is it's this wonderful group of people that you put together. Everybody sharing ideas, everybody helping everybody else raise their business. It's irreplaceable.
So, your average sales price today is?
Our average sales price for our market is 168 minus 275.
168,000. Now, a lot of you in this room, for 168,000, you would say, well, is that a double wide trailer? I mean, you wouldn't even list a home.
Well, it's
And
better
your,
than when I
your average sales price is pretty strong for your town.
It is. It's better than when I started though. That was 21.5.
Yeah. Interesting, isn't it? 21.5. So, average commission check today?
It's about 7,200.
Okay, so you're taking strong commissions on your listings.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know many people that know more about what I teach than you. What is the first thing you're going to suggest all of them look at and consider?
I think one thing that you taught us a long time ago is that if you take good care of your customers, they'll take good care of you. And we're
Whoa, stop. You got to say that again.
Well, you taught us that if we take good care of our customers, they'll take good care of you. And it's really, really coming around very nicely.
That it would be one of your strengths as a salesperson,
I think it's probably the biggest strength.
your greatest strength.
Yep.
Of the 4 personality styles, which one are you, Chris?
Would be analytical.
Analytical.
Yes.
So you really have spent a lot of time figuring out step by step, piece by piece, how to make this work.
It didn't come natural, no. It took work. It took a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so number 1 is take great care of your customers, which is so many of you in this room, your philosophy, which I think is great. Number 2, Chris.
Number 2, I think the other thing that helped me the most is to get over it quickly. You know, I've got 2 minutes to get upset if something goes wrong. And
Okay, you got to say that again.
I've got 2 minutes to get upset. And then it's next. It's time to move on.
But
And
for a
that-
long time, you had a problem with that, didn't you?
I had a terrible time with that, yeah. It
We
was
had
very
many
difficult.
discussions, Chris and I, over the years, where a deal would get sideways and he would call me looking for advice, which I would try to give him. But he would get so deeply involved in the conversation of what went wrong, I would say, well, why not just go find the next listing?
Well, it's, if the horse is dead, it's time to get off.
Yeah.
You know?
When the horse is dead, it's time to get off, okay? And Chris and our crew, we've seen a few dead horses, haven't we?
Right.
Well, Chris, hats off to you.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Hats off to you, no question about it. Okay, Lucy, every year I ask you your age, and every year you try to avoid telling me. 71 or 72?
I'm still 67.
You're still 67, which isn't bad for 5 years in a row being 67. Okay.
No.
How old are you?
67.
Okay. See, all these years I thought she was lying to me. I always thought this is the best looking 71-year-old in the world. So now at 67, you're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you've been in the business how long?
44 years.
44 years. My gosh, Lucy. I mean, that's unbelievable. Okay? And you've actually in your career done over 17,000 listings sold and sales.
Actually, it was 13,000.
Oh, 13,000. Excuse me, I misrepresented.
Yep.
Okay, but I mean 13,000. I mean that's 17,000 something to cheer about. 13,000, come on. But since we've been together, you've done 4,000 transactions. Now, do you have a big team?
I have a team, listing manager, closing manager, buyer agent, and another listing agent.
Okay, so you have a team of basically none.
Yeah, there's 6 of us.
I mean, you have a good listing manager, you have a good showing agent,
Yeah.
and really outside of that, it's just really you.
Well, my son is also a listing agent. We're
Yeah.
both brokers.
And how many listings will you take this year?
225.
225. And I would venture it's 98% repeat and referral.
Well, 56%, because you told me I had to call other people.
Okay, I love it. Okay. I don't know if you've heard me tell the story about you and Dave Abdallah. Have you heard the story I've told?
I don't think
Because
so.
Lucy, to me, is the queen of the database. This lady is as good as anybody ever. How big is your database now?
8,600.
I'm sorry?
8,600.
8,600 names, okay, in her community that she's either helped buy or sell or have become a close associate. And that business is phenomenal. Then we have Dave Abdallah, who's probably 100 miles away, who's just, to me, one of the great agents of all time, works for my friend Adam right over here. And Dave is like you, he's done tens of thousands of transactions, and Dave is what he refers to himself as a hunter. And I remember saying to Dave, what's a hunter? He goes, every day I prospect all day long. I said, why? I love to hunt. I'm searching for a deal every day. I said, well, do you call your past clients? I hate them. I never call them, never talk to them. I'm hunting for the next one. And Adam, he's done probably 3,000 or 4,000 transactions, hasn't he? At least. So I actually said to Dave, Lucy, recently that you and David Bella should get married. Well, because you guys can do 2,000 transactions a year. You work his database and let him hunt.
I
What a
can only
great
handle one
combination.
husband.
I know.
Trust me.
Yeah, one's enough. I know your husband. We played golf together. Lucy, what's your average sales price?
150,000.
Now, for a lot of people in this room, you hear these numbers, you go, what in the world can you buy for 150,000?
3 bedrooms, bath and a half ranch
Square footage?
with a basement and a garage.
Okay, basement, what's square footage? 12, 1,300?
Yeah, 1,400 square feet.
Okay, 8,000 or 9,000 square foot lot?
Yeah, half acre.
Half acre? Wow. Sounds just like downtown San Francisco, doesn't it? Okay. Sounds like my friend Neil in Beverly Hills. You can get a 3 by... Lucy, I didn't tell you, we were in New York City recently and they built that big tower. It's like 80 stories. And it's some of the most expensive real estate in the world. And they're selling it for $10,000 a square foot. 10,000. So Michael, Sabrina and I went and looked at it. And I asked if we could buy 4 square feet. They said no. Any other questions? Okay. Average commission check, Lucy?
5,000.
5,000. And you have built an unbelievable career at $5,000 per clip, haven't you? Why do you keep doing this? 40 years, for God's sakes.
Well, so one of the reasons I keep doing it, the first time I came to one of these events, people all around me were selling way more than me, and I thought I was selling a lot. But, over the years, you've convinced me that I could make $1 million a year. And it took a lot of years, but now I can do it every year. That's why I keep doing it. It's great.
Isn't that great? Good for you. That is terrific. And a couple of years ago, if I am correct, you broke the $1 million mark in personal income,
Yep.
which in your town is 10 million. Good for you. So what's the best advice you would give these people?
I would say to plan a schedule and follow your schedule. I mean, time management is really the key. And I used to fight the schedule, but now my schedule just works for me. I plan it on Sunday night. I plan it every night, just look at the next day, and my family knows what it is. And sometimes, I can work 2 nights a week. That's my rule for myself. Sometimes I don't, but I can. And following my schedule is just, it's great. You know, I'm amiable. My staff thinks I'm a driver because I'm like always going full speed ahead when I'm with them. So I think time management and efficiency is just a big deal.
All right, so what's number 2?
Number 2 was the mindset about, you know, that I can make X amount per year. It can happen over and over. It's consistent. So the mindset that you've helped us create with, you know, this group of people and yourself, just that constant encouragement is a big deal for me, because in my market, I don't really have anybody encouraging me in that way. I mean, even our personal friends we don't talk about income, you know. So
But you have deals that go sideways and get screwed up, so your mindset is what carries you through that kind of nonsense.
yes, it does.
Well, I will tell you, nearly 4,000 people, you're a real inspiration for all of us. So,
Thank you.
okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Vicki, you live in the blazing huge metropolis of Elko, Nevada. Tell them where that is.
It is in the northeast corner of the state of Nevada, 100 miles from the Idaho border, 100 miles from the Utah border, in the middle of nowhere.
So if you get in a car and you reach a point in the map where it says nowhere, turn left and you're in Elko.
Right. We're 230 miles from the biggest city, which is Salt Lake City.
230 miles from a city called Salt Lake City, which is a metropolis compared to where you live.
Yes.
And you and your sister, if I remember correctly, bought the company, your mom, correct?
Yeah, and we sold it in 2009 with your advice. Thank
Yep.
you very much, Mike.
Yeah. So Vicki, you here, it says 17 years, 1,100 plus transactions.
Residential, yeah, that doesn't include land.
Residential. What is your average sales price?
Average sales price is $270.
So your average sales price has gone up a lot.
A lot, yes.
Good for you. Average commission check?
$5,600.
5,600. So you're in heaven. How many agents are in your town?
There's 120.
120. So you and your sister must have a pretty strong market share.
We're working on 12% this year. We should
So-
do that for sure. We're always shooting for 15% market share.
Good for you. So 12% of all the transactions go through you and your sister.
Well, we like to think they do. They don't, but we're getting there.
Good for you. So what's the most important thing, because we've been together a long time, that you can share with this great audience?
So what I've learned is whatever I'm resisting is what I need to work on the most. So if you're sitting out there thinking, I want to join coaching, but I'm not sure, you should run and join coaching. And I wanted to add to that, if I could, for a second. I joined coaching with blind faith. I had never been to a Mike Ferry event. I got a sales call from your floor, a guy named Marco.
Yep.
And he said, if you join coaching, you will take over market share in your town. And I knew how to work hard if somebody would just tell me what I needed to do. And I had 10 years of bad habits. And if I hadn't had those 10 years of bad habits, I'd probably be where a lot of these guys are right now. So don't wait, just join.
So that's your first piece of advice. I think that's pretty good advice, in case anybody's wondering.
Well,
So let's go
I
to
was driving down the street the other day, Mike, and I was thinking, wow, I have my biggest closing month this month. I'm going to do 6 figures this month for the first
Which is a
time.
lot of money. Good for
And
you. Congratulations.
I was driving down the street. I was by myself, and I actually said out loud, "Thank you, Mike."
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
That is nice. Your life is pretty good,
Life is good.
okay? And so what will you earn this year?
What will I earn this year? My goal is $728,000.
Which probably makes you one or two of the highest paid people in the entire city.
Probably.
Do you get a little negative feedback from other agents because of your success?
I'm too busy to care anymore. I don't know what they're saying.
Good
I don't
for you.
care.
So what's the second piece of great advice for this group?
The success takes way longer than you think. And I remember my first Superstar event in 2001, July, and you put a big pyramid on stage on an easel.
Yes.
And you said, you have to go through all the crap to get to the top. And I think about it all the time. And when I'm going through crap, which is on a regular basis, I think of that pyramid and I think of you, but then I go home and go, wow, I really live in this house. And it's pretty spectacular overlooking the little city of Elko.
Isn't that great? I was talking at the break with a longtime client named Tommy Love from here in Vegas. And Tommy says to me, you know, Mike, there's a reason I live in an $8 million home and drive a Rolls Royce. And then he gave me a big hug. And that's nice, okay? That makes the whole thing worthwhile. So congratulations, Tommy, and congratulations, because in Elko, you're living the life, aren't you?
Thank you.
Good for you. That's great. Okay? We have had the good fortune, Sabrina and I, over the years, to spend a lot of time with Mike Darda, which is something we look forward to all the time, okay? Mike is a very successful, and for a very different reason. So start with Mike. How long have you been with the company you're working for now?
21 years.
29 years with the same company, okay? We have in the audience my friend Shiv Bansal from Toronto has been with his company probably about the same 30 years or so. Tell him which company you're with.
I'm with Century 21 Sunbelt. in
Century
Cape Coral.
21 Sunbelt, which is one of the big companies, okay? I mean, that's one of the top probably 10 companies in the world for C21, and you're the top agent, I would assume,
Yes.
okay? So you are what I refer to as a grinder, okay? Now watch, Karen is what I would call a Yahoo, and I look at Mike as he's a grinder. You grind out the business every day, don't you?
Yeah, I prospect from 7:45 to noon every single day.
Every day. And 5 days a week.
4 days a week now, but yes.
Okay, 4 days a week. And how many listings will you take this year?
170.
170. And that's your personal listing
Yeah,
production.
just me personally.
Okay. We've had some wonderful conversations that I've used as a training device for a lot of you folks in this audience. 7, 8 years ago, Mike and I had an in-depth conversation. He was going on, say, 28 to 30 listing presentations a month and taking 17 or 18 listings. And we worked on pre-qualifying. Then we worked on strengthening his presentation. Then he started going on 20 listing presentations and taking the same number of listings, which is the track you've been on now for several years, correct? So what are you closing, about 85, 90%?
Actually, 82% at the moment.
82%, okay, good for you. So what have you earned in the time we've been together? Because we've been together now, gosh, 20 years, Mike.
Added up 22.5 million.
$22.5 million in personal commissions. Isn't that great, guys and gals? And for each one of us sitting up on this stage now and this morning, and I'm going to include my friend Robert, who I forgot to talk to this morning, a lot of people in this room are saying, these people really haven't made that much money, have they? And the answer is what? Because that's really, I mean, if I look at the 6 of you who I have nothing but respect for, we're ordinary, all of us that have become extraordinary in what we do. And Mike, you're a great example of extraordinary, okay? What is the first piece of advice you would give this audience?
I would say to really commit to mastering the scripts. The Mike Ferry system's awesome, and it's really difficult if you don't know what to say, right? So if you commit to mastering the scripts, I mean, and if you don't use a script, I guarantee you're using a script. It's your own, maybe because you're comfortable with it or you think it's more effective in your market. But if you're not setting at least one appointment when you go to prospect, or getting 70% or more of the listing presentations you're going on, consider the fact that your script is not as good as Mike's. So commit to mastering the script by going to a productivity school, getting role play partners here in this room, and work on that.
I'll bet in 20 years you've been to 60 or 70 of our events, haven't you?
I can't even imagine counting.
Yeah. So what's the second advice you would give this wonderful group?
It would be accountability. We get so excited when we're here, and then we go back home to our own environment, and even our spouse doesn't recognize us when we get back, and you just get pulled back into your old habits. So if you think you can do this on your own, you're shortchanging yourself. So if you're in coaching, great, you're on the right path. If you're not, at least commit before you leave for your next Mike Ferry event. At least get business cards of other agents that are here, set up some role play partners, or get into a mastermind group to keep this excitement going and keep yourself growing.
Good for you, Mike. I couldn't be prouder to know somebody as getting to know you the last 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. And then we have Little Miss Enthusiasm, Miss Karen Bernardi, who has done over 5,000 transactions in 23 years, okay, which is extraordinary. And what has that earned you now in commissions as an agent, your commissions as an agent?
Well, I can't remember, but it's got to be, I think it was 50 or 60,000, what is that?
50, 60 million.
Million. Yeah, 50 or 60 million.
Don't let that blonde hair confuse her. It's $55 million.
Yeah.
I think it's 55 million you hit this
Yeah,
year.
you told us to figure it out, and I did.
Yeah,
And it
55
was-
million.
Yeah, plus or
So-
minus.
Yeah, like $12. Okay. Yeah.
Million here, a million there, what the heck? You know?
You, of course, are very enthusiastic. You're very expressive. How does that expressive and that enthusiasm play into a listing presentation, or do you have to reserve some of that?
Oh, I have to really dial it back.
You have to what?
I have to dial it back.
You have to dial it back.
Yeah, I do,
Because?
because we have a lot of engineers in our market. And you know, you come in there being an expressive, they just go, whoa. You know, it's really scary. So I've learned to mirror and match and be them instead of me.
So you really have become an expert at versatility.
I would say yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
That came hard.
Say it again?
That came hard.
Yes.
Those were hard lessons. You beat me a lot.
Yes. Well, I kept saying to myself, this lady could be one of the greatest ever. And I believe that. I've been saying that to myself for years. But I knew that if you did develop the versatility in the market where you have all these computer technology engineers, and with that expressive level, it would be a mismatch. And I would say congratulations, because it really has paid off.
Thank you.
When you walk out of a listing after being with one of those quadruple analyticals engineers, do you get in the car and go, ah?
I just really almost have a nervous breakdown. My hair is straight normally. This is what happens after a bunch of analyticals. It's like, oh my God.
I can appreciate that. All mine fell out. I understand fully. So what is the single most important thing you would tell this wonderful audience?
To be humble enough to get help.
To say it again,
Be humble enough to get help.
which you've always done.
I really have, and that has been it. You know, I barely graduated from junior high school, okay? I mean, a lot of people barely graduated from high school. I barely got out of junior high school, and that's how it went bad for me.
So you weren't exactly an educational genius.
No, we wouldn't call that. When I get in the room with these PhDs, they don't have to worry about who's smarter in the room. But
You said something to me recently, which I almost fell out of my chair. She goes, my mom and dad never got a phone call saying your daughter is a genius. Okay.
Yep, never one of those gifted children.
So you would say the ability to be humble enough to ask for help.
Right, and so for me now, and through the years, I look at the 30 years that we've been working together, and the amount of time that I've relied on you, my coaches, and then people in this room to help me out of slumps and to help me out of my depressions and my anxieties. And, you know, I've had a lot of slumps. You know, I'm kind of in one now. My coach pointed it out to me. Really kind of humbling.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was pretty hot stuff.
Well, you are
It's
hot
really a
stuff, but
bummer.
one of the things that and I've felt this very strongly, she knows there's always somebody bigger, better, faster, richer,
Yep.
stronger, younger, more successful. And that is a great,
She's sitting right here.
yes, that's right, yeah. So what's number two that you would share with this audience?
Boy, did I learn this one recently. I learned this one recently, which was that my business, how much we need to cherish it and how valuable it is. And for the amount of money that I net, you know, a lot of us go off on these wild tangents, and I've seen it in these rooms for years. And Mike gets a hold of us and he tries to reel us back in and say, this is your most valuable asset. Forget the fixing and flipping of houses. Forget running down a road and trying to do this crazy thing or that house. This is your most valuable asset. Treat it like that. So I know that I got a divorce in the last year, and during that divorce, my business was under attack, so to speak, and I thought, oh my gosh, I have spent 33 years building this baby and educating it and doing for it what it needed to do to grow, and so that it could take care of me like our children should do when we're older. But, and it really just made me value it all the more and realize what it has given me, which is this incredible freedom and lifestyle that I have. And it's just the most valuable asset. So treat it like you would your child, you know, that it's going to give you what you give it. And so would you not send your child to college? You know, give yourself that gift. You must invest your money in your business and your time, or you will not get it out. So I hate to, you know, sound like a commercial, but I have to be one, because my $55 million is all because I have spent $300,000 with Mike Ferry. That was my best investment ever, right, Michael?
True that.
Thank you for that. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to ask a favor. I'm going to ask nobody leave the room, everybody stand up. Okay? And then I'm going to ask this great group to stand up. And I'm going to ask all of us to give them what they deserve, which is a standing ovation. Thank you. Thanks, sweetie. Thank you, Lee. You guys are great, okay? They deserve it. Thank you.